My name is Allison Veals, and I'm currently a mother of a 7th grader at Bennett Middle. I'm also a substitute teacher and have been involved in PTA for several years. I'm here tonight to discuss my concern for the staff and safety, student and staff safety, especially when students transition from one school to another. How is a student's background information shared amongst schools? Why isn't there a flagging system for violence? How can teachers and administration be best equipped to meet the needs of the transferring student while maintaining a safe learning environment for everyone? In particular, I have a concern about a situation that occurred October 16th. My son was brutally attacked by a transfer student. My son was punched so hard in the face that he and his chair were thrown to the ground and his face smacked the concrete. After trying to protect his body while being kicked, my son was able to crawl to safety, only to witness this child, a child as big as an adult, larger than most of the faculty, choke their teacher as well as attack a special ed teacher. The brutality that occurred, as described by my son, was atrocious. These images haunt my son. I can't imagine them not haunting his classmates. He's got nightmares and flashbacks, and I can't even express enough how often he talks about watching his sweet and caring teacher be choked and thrown around like a rag doll. He lives in fight or flight mode. He's on edge, he is tense, and he trembles. It's been 4 weeks, and he's only been back half the time. As you know, there was a stabbing on Friday. This has caused my son even more fear and anxiety. What happened with my son may be considered an isolated situation, until it isn't. Again, let's not forget about the children and staff that have witnessed these dangerous situations. Their mental health is not okay. Having spoken to several mental health practitioners, individual assessment is needed and should be provided by the Board of Ed to all of the children and staff. These incidents of violence are increasing in frequency and severity. Our children and school staff almost witnessed a murder. How can we expect them to just go back like nothing happened? How can we expect kids to learn when they are constantly worried for their safety and the safety of their teachers and their peers? As for these children who commit these extreme actions, they need intense mental health therapy too. Furthermore, there needs to be more transparency between school systems so that administration and teachers at a child's new school...
You finish your thought, please.
Sorry, let me find it. The administration and teachers at a child's new school know of previous assaults the child has committed. If the administration at Bennett Middle had known this child had violent tendencies, perhaps my son and his teachers wouldn't have become his next victims.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. As you may know me or may not know me, I'm a teacher in Wicomico County. My wife is also a teacher in Wicomico County, and my son and daughter are both students here in Wicomico County, happen to be at Bennett Middle. Last year, I addressed the board when my wife was assaulted by a student, and by no means can we hold any adult that works in this county accountable for the action of a student. I know that, and I think everybody else knows that as well. My daughter is also in the classes where we had the incidences last week. My son is in the same hallways as that as well. I'm kind of wondering when the next shoe is going to drop and when the next person is actually going to be badly hurt. We've heard it addressed earlier tonight, is where's the communication coming from? We don't see the communication. I work in CTE. We have students transfer in from every school across the county, and we even have students coming from other schools, in other counties in mid-year. Well, why are they moved mid-year? A teacher next door to me has asked the same question of a student last year who was moved from a school in Pennsylvania. His answer was not given by administration, was not given by guidance, was only given by the student himself. He said he was kicked out of his school in Pennsylvania. So he was kicked out of his school in Pennsylvania and brought here. What did he do? He asked the student, and the student's the only one who would answer. And I'm not going to reveal his name, but how do we know he's telling the truth? How do we know it wasn't for a violent assault? When this teacher asked guidance, asked administration to find out what it is, why he was kicked out of his previous school, he was told they were not allowed to. He was told that they couldn't. Now, if that's the case, I think there's something wrong with our policies. If that's the case, if this is not the case, maybe there's something wrong with the direction we have with our administration or the direction we have with our supervisory staff or our guidance staff. I don't really know what it is, but nobody's being held accountable. Now, this student hasn't committed any violent action, thank God, at this point, because he's 180 pounds, he's a 16-year-old boy, and he could do some damage if he wants to do some damage. The same thing happened to my wife last year when she was assaulted by a 15-year-old in middle school. Who was held accountable in that situation? I don't know of anybody who was held accountable. I know the student was removed from the situation, which I'm thankful for. I know that our policies and procedures as far as
30 seconds.
Consequences have changed a bit, and that has made a difference. However, was the IA held accountable who held a radio to radio administration? I doubt it. Was the teacher who was assaulted last week warned that this student is violent? I doubt it. What I want to know is, how are we holding people accountable? How are we changing it so that we can actually have teacher retention, so that we can keep people working in here? We have some amazing teachers in this county who want to work, but we're being driven out. I almost want to take my own kids out of the school system because I don't know what's going to happen next. Is it going to be my wife? Is it going to be my son? Or is it going to be my daughter? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I am a mother of 3, ages 15, 13, and 10, and I wanted to take a moment and talk about school violence and the impact, and make an impact statement. Over the last few weeks, Bennett Middle has been in the news for violent events such as a student choking another student and then a teacher, and most recently a student being attacked by another student with scissors. My child happened to see the child that was attacked with scissors laying on the floor in the hallway. When speaking with my child about the traumatic event, he started off by saying, quote unquote, "I know this is normal. The only thing that makes it different is that he saw it with his own eyes." My concern is that children shouldn't feel that this behavior is normal, and they're seeing violent behaviors such as fights and stabbings and, talks of threats. Let's see. My concern is these are affecting children in a very traumatic way. And I'm trying to explain as a mother to my son that these behaviors aren't normal, and I'm worried about what things are set in place to protect them. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Good evening. I would like to address the bullying and harassment and the violence in schools. My daughter, in 2017 at Bennett Middle, was attacked to the point that she was literally stomped on her head and had a concussion. To this day, she still has headaches. So violence in schools is leaving permanent health problems to our students. And I have brought concerns also. I have 5 children. All 5 have gone through, not completely through, but I have 3 currently that are in the school system. I have 2 at Bennett Middle and 1 at Bennett High. My son here was attacked at Bennett High this year, and it was just for moving the child's chair an inch to get by. That's all. And then I also have 2 girls at Bennett Middle, and they have been bullied and harassed all year. I've gone to administration. I've gone through all the code of conduct that the Board of Ed has set into place. It is not working. So we have to figure out something as parents and teachers and the Board of Ed to make sure that our schools are safe for our students to go to school. They're there to learn. They're there to be our future and to continue on what we teach them. And if they can't go to school and sit there and concentrate and study on concentrate on a test, how are they going to get the grades to go to college and to move on and be, good citizens and productive citizens in our communities when they're scared every day that they can't even concentrate, that someone behind them is going to attack them, or they're going to go out in the hallway and be attacked? I mean, my daughters were friends with the girl that got attacked on Friday, and a boy literally harassed them this weekend and threatened to stab them on Monday. So I sent it to the administration, and I even heard this boy say this on the telephone. And I confronted it, and I tried to get a hold, I got a hold of what I need to and did the code of conduct that you had set into place. It isn't working. And we got to figure something
30 seconds.
For everyone in the community to be productive and be safe, to learn and to continue on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Keith Newton. My wife is a school teacher at Bennett Middle. I'm also a deputy with one of the lower 3 counties in the area. Unfortunately, I'm privy to see a lot of things that most parents don't get to see involving children. I have a lot of conversations in the evenings with my wife about school safety. She's one of the members at her school on the safety board, and she cannot begin to tell me one of the safety procedures that they have for their school, Bennett Middle, and she's on the board. She can't give me one protocol. I would like to, Dr. Stuffer, correct you in your statement that these incidences were isolated. When you have one a year, it's isolated. We're having one a week, nearly. Last year, a student from another county walked to Bennett Middle, entered Bennett Middle, looking for a student to fight with, to beat up. Opened numerous classrooms looking for this student. 2 other teachers assaulted last year. This year, the teacher that was assaulted. My wife had a conversation with that student that choked the teacher and assaulted Miss Veal's son the day before the assault. The student was kicked out of Somerset County schools and was taken on by Wicomico County schools. That student told my wife that he was kicked out of Somerset County schools because he had choked another female student unconscious. My wife asked the student, was the girl okay? He replied, I don't know. I think she had some kind of brain damage. Whether that's true or not, it's neither here nor there. The student should have never been in a Wicomico County school. Furthermore, the principal of Bennett Middle was never made privy of any of that information. She had no background or knowledge of that student. It's unacceptable. Unacceptable of the safety that's going on in these schools.
30 seconds.
There needs to be accountability. And guess where it starts? The top. And it rolls downhill from there. We need standards in these schools. The standards have been lowered. They've been watered down. You're more worried about talking about kindness programs and life coaches and so forth. I've not heard one safety protocol tonight. Not one.
Time.
It needs to change, or someone is going to be killed. in a Wicomico County school. I'm sorry to tell you that, but this country, this world is no longer full of sunshine and rainbows. Someone's going to be killed in one of these schools if you do not take action.
Thank you.